How you guys doing, Chile Magic family? This is another episode of the Chile Magic podcast, and this week we have an amazing gift for you guys. We have the one and only Royosuke Yamawaki.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I say that, but you go with Rio.
Rio, yes.
Which is much easier.
Much easier to order. Yeah. Royosuke Yamawaki.
Yeah. So Royosuke is the fund manager at Kepple Fund, right? Which is a local VC here in Nairobi, and with a Pan-African thesis. We also invest in others, I believe. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do? What is Kepple Fund, and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so Kepple, is this video recording too? Or
yes, it's recording. They can see
me. Okay, hello. So Kepple is a Japan-backed seed-focused VC. And then it's pretty new. We started last December. And then we have invested pretty much many deals since we started. I think much more than any other VCs.
How many deals have you done?
So we have done 27 so far. 27
deals since December 2018.
So it's 11 months.
11 months. Wow.
11 months. So even less than a year. So we make deals more than 2 per year per month. Mm-hmm. And so we are managing about $10 million. 10 million US dollars. Okay. Yeah, as a whole. Right. We are running two separate funds. So the first fund was and is focused on East Africa because I'm based here. Mm-hmm. And then we made investments. So with that East African fund, we made 24 investments so far, 23 in Kenya and 1 in Uganda. Mm-hmm. And then recently we started investing in West Africa too. Okay. We hired another manager for the West African fund, and that fund also has $5 million. And for that one, we made 3 so far. Mm-hmm. And that manager in West Africa is gonna make another 3 or 4 by the end of this year. And I have 5 to 6 deals to close by the end of this year. So it's gonna be more than 30, 36, 34 or 35 by the end of this year. So it's pretty fast.
It's pretty fast. That's pretty amazing. This is very unprecedented for our market, and I'm very excited about what you guys are doing because it has been the bane of our existence here in terms of not having entrepreneurs not having access to funding that is efficient, effective, like what you guys are doing. So congratulations for what you're doing. You've completely changed the game, and super excited to have you on the podcast. And just a quick question for you before we kind of get into your background. Was this your plan? Was this a thesis? Did you have a goal to invest in 30 startups in the first 12 months?
So it's kind of we had a loose plan. We don't plan many things. We are entrepreneurial. We are entrepreneurial in many ways. In many aspects. Mm. First of all, so we have 3 partners, including me, me and another partner in Tokyo and another partner in West Africa. Right. And then all of them are kind of entrepreneurs. I'm running my own fintech startup right now, so I'm an entrepreneur at this moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and also my partner in Tokyo is also an entrepreneur. He is running a Series A tech company in Japan too. So he's an entrepreneur.
You don't have a lot of time to kind of be doing twiddling your thumbs and talking philosophically about, is this a great investment to scale across?
Yeah, so who knows? So our thesis is who knows? Who knows? So we are entrepreneurial, and also as you said, we are also trying to experiment a new model in VC. So the model we are trying to do here is not something that is unseen elsewhere. Mm-hmm. It's being tested in other markets, especially in Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. And we are trying to replicate that model. Mm-hmm. But it's new because it has never tested in Africa. Right. But we are the first one to test it. So we are entrepreneurial. Right. And in terms of number, we don't have a specific number that we wanted to hit, but we had a notion that we have to spread our bet as much as possible. Right. And then we started with the East African fund, which is $5 million. Right. So notion is that at least maybe we want to hit maybe 40 deals.
40 deals in $5 million.
In $5 million.
$5 million.
Yeah, $5 million. So our idea was maybe we will do 100K on average, and then deducting management fee, maybe we can make 40 deals in the whole fund. And now because we added another fund which is the same size, so we can do another 40. But now we are making and we changed our strategy a little bit. Though we said like maybe 40, but now we want to hit more than that. Maybe by the end of the East African Fund, we want to make maybe 55, something like that. Because we realized when we started, of course we are new, I'm new, I was never a VC investor before, so I was not even confident that I could find any fundable deals. But maybe after 6 months, I realized that, oh shit, there are so many good startups, and then there's not enough money to support them. So actually right now I'm in a position to have too many deals, too many good deals, I would say. So we don't want to miss out the opportunities to have the next African unicorn or gazelle or whatever you call it.
Or lion or Simba or whatever.
Yeah, I like Simba, by the way.
Yeah, Simba is a pretty good one.
Pretty good, original. But anyway, so we're not afraid of making a mistake in the sense that our portfolio companies go under. It's okay. That's
part of the game.
That's part of the game. What we are afraid of is missing out. Yes, that's why we want to spread out that. So we recently decided to even go lower, like even the ticket size. Maybe we will go a little bit lower, like maybe 50K, but we make investment even quicker.
Awesome.
So even this month, I made a decision within 2 weeks. I had a meeting with another one new startup, and we made a decision within 2 weeks, and we're going to disperse pretty soon. So that's what we do.
So you touched on the ticket size. So a couple of things I wanna ask. So your ticket size it seems like it's been evolving. Where did it start? What was the range of the investment range that we were looking at?
So yeah, when we started, we said maybe it's from 50K to maybe 300K.
Okay.
But maybe we thought that most of them are in the range of 50K to 100K.
Okay.
And then and for the first maybe 5 to 6 deals, they're either 50K or 100K. Most of them are actually 50. Yeah, 50 or 100.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happened to the first 5 or 6 deals. And after that, we kind of increased the upside of the range to so the largest amount that we made so far was $500,000. And this is because first of all, we can do it. We have no restriction actually. It's just three random guys running this VC fund. There's nobody behind us who can poke us, so we can we can do it.
Whose money is this though?
This money is coming from super high net worth individuals who don't care even about their money. They just put the money on the table, and after that they don't care.
Wow.
Yeah, take this and play around with this money.
See what happens.
You see what happens.
It's a great
opportunity. It's the best money you want to touch. So we are so lucky to tap into that kind of money. So and we have no corporate in our LP. So if you have to deal with corporates, then you have to explain things, and this is our investment philosophy, thesis. This is the investment memo about this company.
Oh gosh, just the effort it goes to make an investment when you have those types of scenarios.
We don't want to spend our time to just satisfy LP's ego.
Yes, or their insecurities or whatever it is. Right?
But anyway, so
this is so interesting because a lot of people don't understand, who have not been involved in actually being fund managers or that type of stuff. They don't understand that you have a finite amount of energy, right, and time. And to be effective, you need to use that wisely. And so one of the things people ask me, for example, is, okay, how come your startup studio is set up as a non-profit? It's because I don't want 90% of our energy focused on making the people who put money in feel good and comfortable, right? Because we should be focused on developing the innovations and building that capacity internally. So kind of similar, right? I mean, if you had all these LPs who are corporates, imagine all the time would be spent managing them, right? So anyway,
I totally agree. So how you structure an organization defines what you can do. So
exactly.
I totally agree that being an NGO has an advantage where you can focus on what you want to do rather than making investors happy. Like, I made this return this month, break it even. Right. It's bullshit.
Yeah, especially in the stage where we play, it's very, very early stage, right? So most people are not going to even. There's just too much experimentation, right? And experiments require space to be able to be effective. Anyway, this is not about me. This is about what you guys are doing. I just thought I'll make the connection there. So you kind of have this 50 now. Where are you going? Your ticket size has again moved a little bit.
Going back to ticket size. So we started with 50 to 300K something, but we just did larger ticket size investment. The largest was 500K, and why we did that a bit larger investment was that though we started as a seed focused investor, and also we still think we're seed focused, but because we made investment very quickly, and then other startups who already passed seed stage, Series A, Series B,
they're like, hey,
I like this. And then, on top of the speed, we also have unique connections with Japanese investor ecosystem, especially corporate investors. So we have connections with them. Though none of them is our LPs, but we have good connections with them.
Right.
So we thought that, maybe we could connect post-Series A startups in Africa with Japanese corporates, so that they can invest or they can make strategic partnerships. Right. And then some Series A, B startups like the idea. So we decided to invest in like Series A or B startup. But it doesn't make sense for Series maybe B startup who is raising 10 million to accept 50K ticket because it's too small, right?
Crazy.
So for the first deal that we did, like that, when I helped fundraising from Japan, we told them that let us invest in you as the minimum possible, and then in exchange, so it's so small. Actually, the investment $500,000 was even smaller than any other investors who participated in the same round. Right. But they gave us an exception because we promised that we
would bring capability,
and help to and then that was the deal, and then it went pretty well. So I arranged a tour to take them to actually physically to Tokyo and set up more than 10 meetings with them. I was actually sitting in a meeting. Sometimes I had to translate the conversations, and then it went well. And because it went well, there was another startup who wanted that. So because I made the first case kind of successful, so I can make it even lower. Like,
oh wow! So you have a negotiating leverage.
Yeah, leverage. Because for the first case, I myself didn't know whether it would go well or not. But because with the first success case, I could say like,
here we go.
Here we go. So for the second one, I did only like 150, and the third one, I did third one. Now it's 100. And then now, because I have 3 successful cases, I can say whatever, like, let me invest 10K, but I can help you. So it's like a loophole, It's like a loophole. You never expect to invest in Series B super famous startup with 10K, but it's possible for me now because I have that leverage.
You've proven yourself.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I love, one of the things I like about you, Rio, is you are very entrepreneurial, you're very practical in how you think, and you also just execute. And that is just a breath of fresh air, right? And I'm sure entrepreneurs love you for that, because I'm sure they tell you all kinds of crazy stories of being in meetings with investors and for months and months and months. I've heard all kinds of crazy horror stories where somebody makes a commitment, and then when an investor makes a commitment, the entrepreneur says to all the other smaller investors, okay, we're just going to go with this one, and then that investor pulls out, and now you're left naked. There are all kinds of crazy stories. Yes. So just having you in the market, I think, is transformational for this ecosystem. We just need more people like you. So again, congratulations for that. Now, let's talk a little bit about, you said you are entrepreneurial in your approach, or actually you said that this model has been tried in Southeast Asia. What is the model specifically, and how is it different than other models?
Yeah. So the name of the game that we're playing is the number. It's a number game. It's a numbers game, basically. And then the success case we are kind of trying to replicate in Eastern Africa is called East Ventures.
Sorry,
East Ventures.
East Ventures.
Yeah, Western East. So East Ventures. Okay. So East Ventures is a VC fund that started in Japan. It's Japanese, purely Japanese.
Okay,
VC.
so it's a pure Japanese. It's a separate fund that exists.
Yeah. So it's okay. We have no connection. I mean, my partner knows the founders of the East Ventures,
Right.
but East Ventures is just an independent VC fund,
Okay.
which is one of the most successful ones in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and also I think the only one who is successful outside Japan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there are so many VCs who've been in the market like more than 10 years,
Mm.
but those guys are just domestic. They just invest in Japanese startups.
Okay.
But these guys, East Ventures, they moved out of Japan. They still invest in Japan,
Mm.
but they moved out and they went to Southeastern Asia,
Mm.
especially Singapore and
Okay.
Indonesia.
Okay.
It's also because one of the founders of East Ventures is half Indonesian and
Okay.
Japanese,
Right.
so he had a connection in Indonesia. And then their investment strategy is called by other people no-look investment.
No look.
Yeah, no-look investment. It literally means they don't look. They
What?
don't look at anything. Like
Are you serious? So how do they make a decision? What's their...
they just look into the eyes of the founders. So as an entrepreneur, if you want investment from East Ventures,
Yeah.
you go into a meeting with them,
Yeah.
and normally they make a decision within that meeting.
Okay.
Then even like there's a rumor that they even disperse money before signing contract or anything. Just take this money. Like
Wow.
we will sign later.
Wow. Okay.
It sounds super risky, it sounds super crazy,
right.
but they are just taking an extremely different approach than other VCs who think that they can actually cherry pick the successful
Yeah,
startups,
which is crazy. Yeah.
which is crazy, right?
Mhm.
But so East Ventures at least knows they know that they don't know which one will be successful.
Right.
So,
They're sure of that.
yeah, they're sure that so they make investments as fast as possible. And then they want to make sure that they're the first one to invest in
Okay.
those companies.
Okay.
And then with this no-look investment philosophy, they've been pretty successful in
Okay.
Southeastern Asia.
Mm.
One of the most successful investment that they made in early days is Grab,
Okay.
the largest the bike hailing startup.
Mm.
And their Grab's, I think their valuation right now is like 20 billion. It's huge.
Right.
It's insanely huge. And
Mm.
they made, because they are one of the first investors in
Mm.
Grab,
Mm.
the return, I think return was like 5,000 times over.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Wow.
now it's
Mhm.
double digit billion.
Right. Right.
Back then it was only maybe a million or 2
Right.
million.
Right.
So the idea is that they don't want to miss out opportunities. They don't want to miss out companies who may become a unicorn,
Mm.
maybe within 10 years time frame.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then because they don't know, they know that they don't know
Right.
which one will be.
Which one it is? Yeah.
Yeah, which it is. So they just their thesis is just to spread the bet. Yeah.
Spray and pray.
Yeah. So we are trying to. This strategy is basically driven by my partner, because my partner knows the founders of East Ventures, and my partner in Tokyo
Mm.
knows that they have been pretty successful.
Mhm.
So he wanted to replicate that model in other markets,
Mm.
and then he thought that Africa would be the most potential
Right.
market. So we're and it is a fact that there's nobody who is doing investment in the same way as we are doing.
Mm.
So it's experimental, it's entrepreneurial.
You found a virgin market pretty
Yeah.
much in terms
Yeah.
of opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
And let's talk a little bit about that. Like, obviously you've been interacting with other VCs or fund managers, and why do you think it is that what's the problem, right? Okay, first of all, is what have you experienced in other fund managers operating here? What's the type of funds that exist here?
I think there are two types of investors, maybe three. Yeah, but maybe if I differentiate different types of investors, maybe the two types basically: impact-driven investors
Mm.
or maybe pure VCs.
Mm.
And impact-driven investors, sometimes they are part of family office. Sometimes they're even part of NGO.
Right.
Yeah, they don't. If it's an NGO, it's not even a fund. They just have connections with donors, and then they make an investment case by case. They just bring the case to the group of donors.
So they're like a transaction manager, advisor.
It's transaction manager, advisor. I don't know how they make money, but the kind of people.
Yeah. You don't know how they make money?
I just don't know how it works. Maybe they get. I don't know. I just don't
fee
know.
or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a fee. But so for this bucket of like socially conscious impact investing, I think it's good in the sense that it's easier. Maybe it's easier to raise money, because if it's Africa, then like people outside Africa still think that, oh, it's social programs, poverty, sanitation, job creation. So there are monies you can tap into once you put
of capital.
Once you put the label of we are social. Impact.
You can access that money. Right?
Yeah. So the access to money outside Africa, like if you put impact on your table, I think it's good. I think, but also it gives you restrictions because you have to be picky about like impact metrics, right. And then it also gives a lot of headache to entrepreneurs, I think, because in a DD process there has to be a list of impact metrics
that you
to
have
be
to
monitored,
check off,
right? Oh, you guys, because you are doing a bit of manufacturing, you have to hire like 100 people in next year, whatever. And also that ends up a longer DD process too, because it's not even about economics.
It's about this other kind of metrics. Vanity it's weird. Yeah.
It's a bit vanity.
It's not, oh God, it's molasses. It's quicksand for the entrepreneur, right? It's again taking the energy from what they're supposed to be focused on, which is maybe growing the business, and meeting all these other kind of expectations that are, adjacent to the real mission of the business, right?
Yeah. So even if you look at the cost to report on those metrics, reporting costs after you receive investment, I think it would be. I mean, it's heavy. It could be heavy. It could be heavy. And another bucket is maybe pure VCs. I think they are faster, maybe simpler, depending on the structure. As long as they don't have any corporate. I think that most of them have corporate LPs, but because they don't have impact metrics that they have to follow, the decision should be faster, more efficient. But I feel pure VCs are now, as of now, pure VCs are more on the later stage, maybe Series A or B, because they want to make sure the economics work, especially unit economics works.
And also they're structured to do bigger ticket sizes. Maybe it doesn't make sense for them to do 50K. Maybe.
Probably. Some of them do like 100K, but they tend to be structured in such a way that they have to look for larger deals. Yeah, so as I see it, maybe we have pure VCs on the later side, post Series A, and for the seed or maybe until pre-Series A, we have impact. So it's not matching the reality of the need from entrepreneurs,
right?
Because it's actually there's a mismatch because entrepreneurs on this end, like seed stage, they need quicker cash, and also they don't have much to show.
They don't have much to show. Yeah, metrics, reporting, what?
Yeah, it's just they can say anything, but it can be back and forth. Like, if you say so, like I will do sanitation.
I'm a mobile app for sanitation.
But and then season B, they are more ready to like do lengthy DD process, and then they have more to show, right? But funny enough, if you're on the supply side, investor side, pure VC takes a shorter, like simpler approach, and then impact VCs take longer. So it's not matching.
Wow. Okay. So the people who need faster money are not bogged down by slow money.
Yes.
Like the impact money. Right. Which is the seed stage and that level, and the people who can move faster, right? Entrepreneurs can't even get to that because they can't even get past the seed stage. Is that what's happening? So there's a bottleneck here.
Kind of bottleneck. So for seed, my belief is that you have to be fast.
Totally.
Yeah, you have to be fast because like the only asset that seed stage startup have is time.
And they're running out of it.
They're running out of it every day. So I don't want to bother them in the first place. So there has to be faster money, and we have to change this structure like sooner than later, because right now it's okay even for pure VC sitting on the later stage to have this. They are not like afraid of running out of deals, because at least they have
the
late stage guys, it's okay for them. But in the long run, if you don't grow the beginning of the cycle,
it's gonna run out.
It's gonna run out because it's like there is nobody who plants seeds here.
Exactly.
Yeah, the seeds are there. Nobody who's watering it.
Right.
Yeah, there are seeds, but the soil is just dried up.
Right.
And then there are guys who is reaping.
Right.
Basically who is putting fertilizers.
Right.
Then they think that the nursery phase is working. They assume that nursery phase is working.
Do they really assume this? You think the late stage fund managers, do they feel they have a good pipeline? Do the series A and B funds feel like there's enough pipeline?
I think they are still fine because the number of funds but after series B it's now
private
equity. But it's funny that private equity guys now are going down to
exactly.
VC.
I've seen that, yeah.
So actually I felt a strong pressure from VC guys in the series A and series B that they have to go down to seed stage. Yeah. So I think now there's a good market force to push these guys faster, like proper professional money, to go down to riskier stage, which is seed, so that they can water seeds.
Right.
Yeah. So
interesting. And just roughly speaking, how many pure VCs are there in the market? I mean, you've been probably exposed to these numbers most recently. Do you have a sense in Nairobi how many?
In Nairobi, for impact, who can invest maybe 50 or 100 for seed.
Wow, 50?
No. For
50K.
50K, yeah. So for in terms of the VCs, who can do 50 or 100K investment, I think 1, 2.
And I should have asked you this before you came here.
Yeah, maybe 5. Yeah, 5 or 6. 5 or 6. I know that is active, and then the post series A maybe 10 or something.
Okay.
I've heard of.
Right.
So it's a very small.
It's a very small,
tiny
wow.
circle.
And since you and I talked about this a little bit before, another thing that you mentioned that is both a frustration to us, where there's more talk than action, right? Like people kind of congregate around these panels and talk about what should be happening and blah blah blah. What's your view on that? What causes that, or what's your perspective on that?
I hate panels.
I hate panels.
I hate panels even from a participant's perspective. Like it's not interactive in the first place.
And it's all very manufactured and weird. It's not organic, eh?
It's not organic, and then the conversation tends to be very shallow. It depends on the facilitator, but the facilitator
has to be good.
It has to be very good. Like has to be the insider of that market. Otherwise, the questions are like stupid. And then I hate the notion. Like I don't know, it's not a notion, but I hate a mindset that if you're a panelist, you're kind of better than the audience. I know better than you. I can teach you. Like, ask me anything. Oh yeah, you have to do that way.
Right. So do you find there's a lot of panels and events in Nairobi the more than there should be, or what's your perspective on that?
Actually, I even had to attend conferences. So I rarely attend conferences, but I feel there are. I'm not sure about whether there has to be more or less conference opportunities, but so far I don't see a lot of value coming out of those conferences or events, because again it doesn't necessarily translate into practice. Outcomes of practice. So, and I think our belief is that if we want to show something, we have to show by example. So that's why not talking. So that's why we just focus on making investments. That's why we crazily
shut up and put up. That's it.
Yeah, shut up and just do the investment, and then whether I was right, we are right or not, can be testified by the result.
Right.
If we lose money from our fund, we are wrong.
Right.
But you can discuss whether our approach is right or not, but who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe in 3 years' time, time will tell.
Right.
So, and that's all about entrepreneurship. You can just draw a diagram about customer journey and everything, but who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? You only know the truth when you implement it, and then you get hurt.
Exactly. Right.
So we are ready to get hurt,
Yeah.
but at least we want to act, we want to do. So that's and then I personally don't have time to talk much on a panel because it doesn't help me to make deals.
I love it. So we haven't even gotten to your background, and this is phenomenal. So in the last 11 months, how many deals have you looked at? How many entrepreneurs have you met with?
I think more than I even stopped counting, but maybe 200 something. 200. Yeah.
That's an insane pace. That's about how many a month? 20?
20 a month. Yeah. But I did a lot in the first like even before. So December was the time when we made a first investment, and I came to Kenya in August.
Okay.
So between that time, I started to like meeting with investors, and then before December, I've already met like 60 or something. So within 3 months or something. So that was the intense part of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, when I first came here because I had no connection, zero. And again, remember I was not a VC investor or anything. I'm a novice. So I wanted to build my connection first to network to build my pipeline. So what I did was I did a one-on-one investor session at 3 co-working spaces. I have a NiLab and a Nairobi Garage. And I met with about like 15 startups in a day and 3 days in a row. So I met with like 45 investors in 3 days. So that was the starting point. And then I picked
45 entrepreneurs.
Yeah, 45 entrepreneurs. Yeah, 45 teams, I would say. So that was the starting point. And then from there, maybe on average, like I meet with like 10 or more than that. So yeah, that's why I don't even count, but maybe obviously more than 100. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. And so then you make your first investment in January or
in December.
In December. Okay. So what is the craziest entrepreneur story you've ever met in terms of you told me some very interesting story. I don't know if you can remember that. So meeting all these people, you meet all kinds of different experiences of people who want money to build their ideas. What is the craziest one you've ever met that you remember?
Yeah, so this is, I think, reflective of the reality of this. So I'll talk about one entrepreneur, and then this is reflective of the reality of the startup ecosystem in Africa in a kind of negative way. So I think Kenya or Africa as a whole has kind of premature startup ecosystem, but I am a big believer of this ecosystem because if you look at the top-notch guys, it's brilliant. They are super smart, super experienced, like they're rock stars basically. They are like as individuals, they're like wow, high in the sky. You know, I respect them. Like I want to work for you. Even. So that's one side of it. Right. But if you look at the bottom,
and what percentage is that?
Maybe 5%. 5%. Yeah.
So out of the 200 you've seen. 5% is of 200 is what is this?
Like it's 10. Yeah.
So there's 10 people out of 200 who are like, amazing.
Yeah. Or maybe more than maybe more than that. But I mean, to 5% in the whole ecosystem, probably. Yeah. Right. But I'd say the deals I have are already kind of filtered out because I don't reach out to. I stopped doing that kind of event because it doesn't help. I'll touch on that. Right. Why I stop it. Right. But so now I only get deals through my network, especially from the entrepreneurs I have already invested in. Right. So they only bring the best of best deals.
So now you're not seeing a lot of volume, which is
actually pretty. Yeah, it's going down. The volume it's not going down, but yeah, I don't have a huge volume of deals that come to me. Yeah. But maybe the deals, the quality of the deals that I see is more like it's better. Like top 20% of the whole ecosystem. That's so awesome. The story was when I was doing a one-on-one event at I think it was at IHAB. Okay. Yeah. So I was meeting with 15 startups, and then there was a startup about like e-commerce logistics. Logistics. So before the event, like I asked everyone to give me the pitch deck so that I can have an idea to come up with right questions. Right. And then the pitch deck started with a premise statement saying that like there's a bottleneck with logistics for e-commerce. E-commerce is going to boom, but logistics is a bottleneck, so I will fix it. I liked it. Yeah.
So far so good.
Yeah, so far so good. Well, like I give you 100 score to you. So far.
It's like number one.
Yeah, number one. Yeah. And then so I would maybe ask like how he wants to fix it and stuff. So I went into the meeting and the guy like talked about the program again, and I I was fascinated. Like, oh, you're right.
Right.
Yeah, e-commerce is there. The e-commerce penetration is too small. There is room for expansion, and then obviously there has to be someone to fix the logistic bit, because I also had personal experiences with Jumia, which food delivery is totally broken. So I wanted somebody to fix it, and then he moved on to the solution part.
Okay.
And he told me, yeah. So he dug deep the problem, why logistics is not working for e-commerce.
Which you didn't need that because you already knew kind of. But anyways.
Yeah. And then he said that because the logistics, so the quality of logistic providers is not good.
Okay.
That's why you see like bounce delivery or late delivery or sometimes theft by drivers. So it's risky, and it's risky to rely on those providers, even for e-commerce platform. Okay. So what do you offer?
What's the solution?
What's the solution? And he told me that, hey, so I came up with this idea. I have a van to deliver, and I put Doberman onto the van.
A Doberman, the dog?
The dog, yeah, Doberman, the dog. Because it's about safety. So if I put Doberman, like I can avoid theft. From whom? From maybe attackers.
So wait a minute. So the problem was that delivery people were stealing the products, or
his assumption was maybe delivery people is stealing or breaking the product. So Doberman is sitting next to the parcel so that the Doberman can bark or bite the drivers. Hey, these are our customers. Don't steal it. Otherwise, I will bite you.
So I'm a driver, and I have a parcel.
Yeah.
And there's a Doberman that comes with a parcel. And the Doberman is to protect the parcel from me.
No, not even one parcel, like a lot of parcels.
Oh, so it's a
truck.
Okay, it's a truck.
Yeah, I don't know the ratio. Like one Doberman gains like 100 parcels or whatever. So I named that startup Doberman Startup.
So how long was this meeting? When did you realize you're in a comedy?
like after 5 minutes. But the meeting lasted for more than an hour because it heated up. Like I told him hey, I don't think Doberman can solve this issue.
He was like,
no, Doberman is a solution. Okay.
He became a Doberman.
He became a Doberman to me. Like he was about to bite me, and then I said okay, let's say Doberman is not a solution. But even if it's not a solution, I think it's easy to just hire a Doberman because it's just a trained dog, right? Like, don't you think so? And he said no, hire a Doberman needs connection. You need to have a good connection with security companies, and it's only me who can do that. Okay, so the debates heated so much, and then I was like, wow. So I'm not making fun of this startup process.
I am making fun of it. This is a funny story.
Yeah. but what I wanted to say from this experience is that the quality of startup in this ecosystem is pretty broad. Like you have
it's a vast range. From Doberman e-commerce solution,
and then top stars like you have top stars like Sandy, Mkopa, those guys, brilliant guys. But you also have Doberman, who most likely doesn't even understand what a startup is. So yeah, what I want to say is, you meet with companies that call themselves startup.
But they're a small business.
They're just small business. They don't even think about the problem properly, or they don't even think about scalability. They just find some opportunity on the street and pick it up. And then try to fix, copy and paste, or just find something that seems like a problem and try to fix it with a strange hammer or something. So
that's amazing.
That's my experience. So I think since then I thought that it doesn't make sense for me to reach out to startups because you don't know whether this is even a startup or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Startup by name only. Right?
Started by name only, like deep inside. It's just it's not even, I don't know. It's just a fun comedy.
Right. And so now you've kind of improved your process where you're using your network of entrepreneurs who you've invested in to bring you quality.
Yeah.
Right?
So I didn't even plan to utilize or plan to structure the startups I invested as network. It just came out naturally because my approach I think is different in terms of speed, in terms of the post investment interaction. So it was just natural that all the entrepreneurs in my network just naturally offer, like they just keep offering.
They keep sending people.
Yeah, sending people. Like, you should talk to this guy and stuff. And it's working pretty well.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess, maybe we talk a little bit about your background right now, since we've kind of covered a lot of your experience and what you do. So how did you end up in Africa? What was your trajectory, right? Background, obviously born and raised in Japan, start from your college experience, work experience, to get some sense of that.
Yeah, so I'm Japanese. I was born in, raised in Tokyo. Actually, I've never lived in any other parts of Japan. Yeah, I'm a pure Tokyo guy. So it might be a bit weird as a Tokyo guy.
It's a fascinating city.
Yeah, it's a fascinating city. Yeah. So I spent my first 20 years in Tokyo. But when I was at the second year at college, I decided to go to Africa. I was just interested in seeing what's going on in Africa. I've read, after I entered college, I happened to read a lot of books about Africa, and I was kind of shocked by all the differences between my country and Africa, and everything that was discussed in a country like Japan, which is far from Africa, is all about poverty, civil war, for example,
problems.
Problems. For example, I read a book about Sierra Leone civil war. That's a crazy one, right? So I just wanted to see whether is it true, right?
Wow.
Yes. So
you didn't get scared by this. You actually got attracted to the
I got attracted. Yeah, I got attracted to that. I mean, it also resonated maybe my upbringing a little bit, because I was born in a single mother family.
Right.
My parents divorced when I was 12 years old, and then I have two siblings. So my mother is not even. She was basically working part time and stuff. So we are pretty. Yeah, we're in a very humble household financially. So it kind of resonated with my upbringing. And also, I thought that and then because I was raised in such a poor family, I didn't have many choices in terms of high school or college.
Is there a differentiation in Japan where there are better high schools and?
Yes, I mean, if you want to go to the best high school, it's a private school. You have to pay very expensive, which we couldn't afford at all.
Right. So, what is the average education quality like? The average kind of high school?
I think so. The good thing about Japan is everybody used to be middle class. So anything in society it's middle class. You cannot as a member of Japanese society, you can access anything in the middle level.
Right.
So even in high school education, as long as you perform better in terms of study, you can get in maybe public high school, which is not too bad. So I couldn't. Yeah, so my family couldn't even afford public school.
Wow.
So I had to go to a private school that offered me full scholarship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there was only a handful. And then the reason why these schools with full scholarship is that the average academic level is not that high. They want to get better level students.
They give you a scholarship to improve the level.
Improve the level, right? If it's the top notch, they don't need to give scholarship because the brightest student just go there and pay.
Right.
So I went to a high school which is even below the average. So my high school is actually it's a very low level high school. People would be surprised if I say the name of the high school.
Yes. In Japan at least.
In Japan, in Tokyo. It actually nobody. It's a high school nobody knows.
Wow.
Yeah, no, but it's
no. But Tokyo is so big. I mean, do people know high schools? Are there brands like that?
There are brands. Yeah, there are totally brands. There are some high schools. In Tokyo, there are 3 top-notch boys' high schools.
Okay.
And then rich families always,
take their kids.
Yeah. Scramble for those high schools.
Wow.
So obviously my high school is just out of that bubble. It's just something. It's just a small stone on the street or something. And then so I felt that I was kind of disadvantaged. I thought until 20 years old, I thought that it's unfair. Like, why am I suffering? No, not suffering, but why am I suffering financially?
Right.
Why don't I have opportunities or options that my classmates have because of money?
Right.
And in Japan, it's pretty normal to go to cram school. Okay, after school, it's a private school after school.
Okay.
To especially prepare for college examinations.
Okay, to study.
Study, yeah. So people
after
like after 3 p.m., 4 p.m.,
okay,
you go to cram school, and then you spend like 4 hours, additional 4 hours, 5 hours there every day. Like that's what normal Japanese people do. But
holy cow, that's a crazy work ethic.
It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I hear Korea is crazier, but Japan is also crazy.
Wow. Okay.
And then but again, because my family didn't even have money to send me to high school, of course there's no money for cram school.
So you have to pay for that also?
I mean, I didn't, so I just studied at home.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what's the point of going to the cram school if you could study at home? What's the idea?
So because cram school gives you like a lot of, I don't know, there are a lot of like examination tactics.
Okay.
Specific to the university you want to go to.
I see.
And then for you to access that tactics, you have to go to cram school.
Okay.
And if you are alone, like it's harder.
It's harder.
So I just studied by myself, and then I just felt it's unfair. Like why don't I have money to do that? Yeah. But after I entered college and by reading books about Africa, I started to feel a bit ashamed. Because I thought that I was in an underprivileged situation. But if you look at what's happening outside Japan, like wow, it's not even comparable. It's totally different. Like what happened to Rwanda, what happened to Sierra Leone, what's happening to Central Africa, everywhere. Like wow, it's crazy. So I felt a bit ashamed that I'm underprivileged. Actually, I'm privileged. I have a lot of privileges, but I didn't.
Just by living in Japan.
Just by living in Japan, I didn't realize that. So I felt ashamed, and then I just got this idea that I have to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I was looking for opportunities because I had never lived outside Japan. So I started to look for opportunities to live in Africa, and I found this program by Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs to send young people to Japanese embassies all over the world. And then I applied for that, and then I told them that like any African country is fine, just take me to Africa. And then they picked me.
How old were you at that time?
20 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was taking exam, I was 19 years old, and then when I went there, I became 20 years old.
Okay.
So they picked me for Botswana. So I went to Botswana in 2008.
Okay.
So that's the time when I started the interaction with Africa.
Exposure to Africa.
And I spent 2 years in Botswana. It was pretty good experience for me. First of all, it was my first time to live in a foreign country. Everything is different, and all my colleagues are local Botswana people. And my English was not that good at that point, so I struggled to communicate. That was also pretty good because you couldn't experience a situation where you cannot make yourself understood if you were in Japan for the first time. Like I felt like I'm totally stupid. Like every word I say, like people don't understand. I'm a baby. So it was a great experience. But even aside from that, so my experience in Botswana broke my perception that Africa is just with poverty and stuff. I just realized that it's different. Actually, it's diverse. If you go to different places in Africa, different aspects, different economic situations. Botswana is one of the exceptional countries in terms of political and economic development in history. So it was pretty fascinating. Like, actually, Botswana is Africa is not just about poverty or civil war. And then before I finished my term in Botswana, which was in 2010, I had a chance to come to Kenya too.
Okay.
In March 2010, there was a diplomatic event by Japanese ministry to send Japanese prince at that time, who is the emperor now.
What's his name?
Hirohito,
yes.
I'm not sure. I think. If
you don't know your emperor. I think it's Hirohito. That sounds familiar.
That sounds familiar. Yeah, maybe Hirohito. Wow.
Oh my God.
What a shame if I get it wrong. Because they changed that the emperor, the new emperor succeeded only 5 months ago.
Yeah, I remember that. A big ceremony.
I think Hirohito. Yeah. Anyway, Hirohito is the new emperor. That time he was a prince, and then it was the first time for any imperial family of Japan to visit African countries.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a very epic event, and then the prince was accompanied by about 100 officers from Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, he came in
Great
state jet.
delegation.
Yeah, state jet with Japanese flags. Directly from Japan to Jomo Kenyatta, and then they picked Kenya and Ghana as two destinations for the trip.
Okay.
And then because the trip was so large in terms of logistics, so Japanese embassy in Kenya couldn't handle it, of course, because there was only like 10 people. So they needed help from other embassies. And then I was invited to that event, and then I spent 2 weeks for the preparation, and it was pretty exciting experience on its own, but at the same time I had a chance to like walk around, interact with people here in Kenya, and then it was amazing. It was amazing, especially because my experience in Botswana. Botswana and Kenya are two different.
Contrasting.
Yeah, contrasting. The contrast was so just astonishing.
Right.
Because Botswana is one of the most like, people call it a successful like African country in terms of politics and economy. But at the same time, it's a very small country. Population is only 2 million, and the capital city only has 200,000 people, which
It's a
is
small town.
it's Kilimani. Like,
It's Kilimani.
Kilimani as a capital city. You can imagine. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's spread out, right? So when I came here, though I came from a city that one of the largest city in the world, which is Tokyo. So
18 million?
we have 130 million people. 130. No.
18 million.
30 million.
30 million.
Yeah, in Tokyo. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, 30 million. So 30 million people living in Tokyo. I'm from that area.
Yeah.
My whole life was there.
Right.
So I felt that I'm a city boy,
Yeah.
But I had a weird feeling when I came from Botswana to Kenya that wow, it's a large city.
City, man. This is
This is city.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I was like blown away by the energy here, and also chaos.
Yeah.
So since then, I wanted to do something, especially business, by myself. That became my like focus. And then, so after Kenya, I left Botswana and went back to Japan. And again, I was still a college student, so I had another 2 years to go. So I finished 2 years in Tokyo. And then I joined a company called Mitsui. Mitsui is a Japanese investment and also trading company, one of the biggest companies in Japan. And I joined Mitsui because I wanted to do businesses in Africa, and they have exposure to Africa. And then I joined their mining team. So basically what mining team does is to acquire mining assets, be it exploration right of deposit, operational rights, or even acquiring mining companies itself, or buying refineries, or maybe some ancillary like logistics companies, whatever. And I was involved in several mergers and acquisition deals in Africa. So I was happy with that because I wanted to do projects in Africa.
Right.
But it was exciting. The last deal I was doing was in South Africa. We are trying to acquire the largest manganese mine in the world.
Largest manganese
mine. Yeah,
Okay.
manganese mining company. It's called Samanco, and the deal was pretty large. The company's value was 2 billion, and we are trying to acquire that company.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you're doing a $2 billion deal.
$2 billion deal. Yeah, but we are trying to acquire 40% of 2 billion, but it's still 800 million.
Right.
And I was a project manager for that, so I could even make like 800 million US dollar investment. So it was pretty exciting.
Right.
But at the same time, towards the end of the deal, I felt it's so boring. It's so boring because the people I interacted with are just investment bankers.
Investment bankers talking to investment bankers.
Yeah, investment bankers talking to investment bankers, and also those guys who we are interacting with are just sitting in the beautiful offices in UK, Australia.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Very abstracted from the situation.
Very abstracted. I didn't even have a chance to see the workers in the mine.
Right.
But those are the people who make business.
Right.
But what I can talk to were just the people
in the ivory tower. That's crazy.
Ivory towers, and they just talk about multiple, like terminal value. Wow, it's it's too abstract. Like it's just a game,
Right.
So I thought that maybe this is not something that I want to do for my entire life.
Yeah.
So I decided to quit, and then I quit. Then I thought I could move directly to Africa, but I was not quite confident. Like I was scared, I think, whether I can do something by myself. So I just, as an excuse, I just went to business school, like typical motivation for any people with MBA.
Right.
So I went to UC Berkeley for my MBA.
Okay.
And then I spent 2 years there, and I was basically thinking about business ideas. And then just before the end of the MBA, I came up with an idea to do in Africa, and then I was raising money for that idea, which I'm running right now.
Right.
The company is called Creation. It's a fintech startup. I'm running it. I was raising money last year March. I was raising money for Creation, for pre-seed. And then I was meeting with investors in Tokyo. And then among them was my current partner for the fund. So I was basically pitching my idea, and then
you're the entrepreneur pitching to an investor.
Yeah, pitching to the investor. And then I'm pitching it, and then he said, "Oh wow, your background is great, and I like your idea." So I thought like, I can get investment from him. And then he said like, "By the way, I have something to pitch to you." And then he started to talk about this idea of doing VC investment in Africa. So he flipped the purpose of the meeting, and then you have to do it with me. And then I was confused, like, are you investing in me or like
what's happening here?
What's happening here? And I told him that I was not quite sure whether I want to and I can do that, because my focus is to build a company. Yeah. And he said, "Oh, it's okay. Take your time. So let's meet in 2 months' time." So we met after 2 months, and then I was just telling him that about my fundraising for my startup. And then he was like, okay, oh, that's great. And then he again halfway through told me that, "By the way, did you think about the fund?"
Right.
And I told him, I'm still thinking about it because I'm doing fundraise, you know.
Right.
And then he told me, okay, then let's do it, because I have already raised money for you.
Wow.
And then what? Like, how much did you raise? I raised $3 million for you. So why don't you do it? And then, by the way, I used your name as an investment manager already.
You have no choice.
Oh yeah, I have no choice. I didn't say yes or anything, but he was just confident that I would join.
Right.
So I had no choice to join. And then I was lucky enough that I already got some soft commitment from my startup too. So I knew that I would move to Kenya anyway.
Okay.
So if I moved to Kenya physically, then yeah, maybe I could manage both. Though I have no confidence, but I just try it out. So I moved here last August, and that's how. And now I'm where I am. Yeah.
That's awesome. What a great story. I mean, like I said, the first time I met you, I was like, this, because you hear a lot of there's a lot of activity and people coming into the ecosystem, and everybody usually is, people who've been around for a while are super skeptical. Even when I moved back, people are super skeptical. Oh, this is another person who's returned from the US. So there's always this kind of like, and I think it's because they're tired. They're tired of people coming in and promising that they're going to make a difference and make a change. A lot of times people just come in and cycle back out or don't do anything that they promised. So, when I met you the first time, I wasn't sure what to expect. And when we just started, I was like, this is this is exactly what we need in the investors in our market. Just people who are down to earth, people who are very practical, people who have a genuine good intention and they follow through. They just not talk. And a lot of times, if you look at the VC world and the startup world, there's so many power dynamics, right? And the investor is always kind of like the person in control, right? Has the power. And it especially in Africa, right? Because Africa, again, people are starting from a disadvantaged position in a lot of senses, and the entrepreneurs are much less empowered, right? And so we need people who are not going to be about the bullshit. They're going to be about results. And I am so excited about what you're doing. I don't know if you understand. Maybe you currently do right now because you've been around for long enough, but you are changing the game. You have completely moved the goalpost by the way you're moving in the market, and you're forcing the market to actually shift. Because before, a VC could say, this is how you should do it, and you got to do due diligence and reporting metrics and all this other stuff, because there was no comparison, there was no comparable. And then you come in, and here you are, two guns slinging, just shooting it down. And now they have no excuses, right? Something has to shift. And so I'm very excited about what you're doing, and I just look forward to kind of working with you more and being as helpful as I can. And I'm sure we'll do great things together. So thank you so much for coming to the podcast. This will be a blessing to the ecosystem. And thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the warm words. But I will keep pushing, and I will see how it goes.
High five. Yeah. Good stuff. Awesome.